Yesterday, May 31st, I left home about 11:17 a.m., went to His Aunt's Food Pantry in Orrin, Iowa, and then I went to my parents, and then I went to the Social Security office in Waterloo, Iowa, as I documented on my x.com/WADES2ND. Took a photo while I was there of my paper and the wall of the Social Security office to show that I was there. I had to report the tax sale property that I got a quitclaim deed to. I paid around $1,000 for the entire property, as I said, and I reported that to the office there. And I had to get there, and I had to get that reported in 30 days. So I made sure I got to the office and did that in person so that they, it could be documented. And then got home about 5 something p.m., which I noted on my x.com/WADES2ND as well. And I was home the rest of the night, except for early a.m. I ran over to my parents to get some fish sticks out of there. It's my food in their garage freezer because I don't have a working freezer for years now. So I ran over and got that early a.m. Otherwise, I was out in the yard all night in the Prius. The battery in the Prius died late p.m. May 31st, so I may have looked like I broke into the mobile home, but I was just getting the charger and cords out of the mobile home to charge the Prius battery that was in the yard. So I was at home the entire time. What else? I unloaded the Prius around 4 or 5 a.m. The sun, it was starting to get light, so I suppose around 5 a.m. As I say, I stay out in the yard often to get peace or out back. So it's now June 1st, 2024. I was here the whole time. Last night I was out in the yard. After I got home, I was out in the field in the back, just doing looking for rocks and stuff to identify, as that's my kind of way to get peace now. Another way for me to try and get peace. And the frauds were honking their horns all last night after a certain point, all night long, driving by honking their horns. So I don't know any of those people. They're just staging lies. I don't know what they're doing digitally to try and make it seem like I'm communicating with them or whatever. I'm not communicating with anyone. The only reason I put my flashers on is to identify that I'm home. So this certain pickup truck it's got lights on the top of his cab. He pretends to know me, and so there's also a small compact car. I believe that's the person that they call Love. I don't have any association with that person. Never have. Those are criminal frauds, part of the sabotage network. I've had no communications with anyone other than my parents for the last 5+ years. Never been into drugs. They were trying to indicate that I was into drugs again yesterday, after I was in Waterloo, Cedar Falls area by myself, as always, while the stalkers were following me around, the 2 Mexicans and the woman with the baby. I think I've seen the woman with the baby before. I do not know her. She is not anybody that I've ever known. And the white woman in her 50s or 40s that anticipated me being there because I told my mother I was going to the Social Security office at 1 p.m. yesterday. That's a stalker criminal too. They made up excuses to go to the Social Security office yesterday. I had to get to the Social Security office to report the quitclaim deed that I got in May. So I took possession of the property in May, and I'm not selling it or anything. It's going to be my home, which I reported to Social Security yesterday. Done nothing wrong as usual. Whatever the stage lies, I changed my passwords in my X and YouTube because my phone was. It changes from like when you're touching the buttons. There's a certain feel to it, and then I went to one of the cam model sites, and I use a VPN when I go there, and usually that protects me recently. But after I was on there, it got more kind of like slipperier. Like when you touch it, it's like the screen is responding like way faster than it normally does. So that's an indication that something was different. So I changed all the passwords and reset the location information of the phone after I was on there, and I posted that on my x.com/WADES2ND as well. Wade Allen Heineman, still half-mile north of Fairbank, Iowa on V68 in the mobile home, 10.7-inch hands, 52 years old, born 11/4/71, circumcised 1971. No changes since that time. Only ever been male heterosexual, natural male heterosexual, 6'1". Never been in the military, never been married, not ridden a motorcycle since 1996. Not known anybody that rides a motorcycle in 10 plus years, never been gay. Whatever the Spanish speaking person is claiming some connection to me in the last 10 years is a criminal breaking into my home. And I suspect, there was something about bicycles yesterday. Again, these two bicycles in my home are my bicycles. I rode them in RAGBRAI 2007 and RAGBRAI 2014. I bought them specifically to do that. Both of them. I paid $40 for the blue one and $100 for the other one at an estate sale in Cedar Rapids. That's it. They're mine. And they're not worth anything now because the tires and rims are messed up from just being in a shed like that. And, that's 2014 is now 10 years ago. If you don't do anything with a bicycle in 10 years, it loses its value. It's an old, they're both really, really old bicycles. So I don't know if they're trying to say they're valuable, but they're not. They're not valuable. The one's probably worth $40. I don't even know if someone would buy it for $40 because it's not in very good condition. It's got rust on the frame, and it's not a desirable bicycle, and neither is the other one isn't a highly desirable bicycle either. Someone would probably buy it for $100 or less, but I don't know what people are trying to say about the bicycles. If there's someone out here on a bicycle yesterday, I don't know anybody on a bicycle. I haven't ridden a bicycle since 2016. There was a bicycle seat someone threw on the street in Waterloo, Iowa. So if anybody's trying to claim anything on this property is theirs, they got on this property, documented the stuff, and then claimed it was theirs, and I stole it from them. They do this all the time, or they switch items, and I don't know it, like my digital stuff, in the past digital devices. I never know what they've switched and what they haven't because they've broken into my home while I was asleep. There's indicated a ladder that they were using a ladder to get in to my home. I don't know how they're getting into my home, but they've been breaking. My home is a running crime scene because of them for the last 10 years. They steal my DNA, I believe, all forms of it, my hair, anything. When they have access to my home, they could steal any form of my DNA. And it's been indicated since 2016 they were doing that and making, swapping it and making it. At that time, it was indicated, I had some royal blood connection, and they were switching my DNA back then. And then the guy moved to London or something. That was the indication back in 2016 already. So they've been stealing my DNA since back that time, whether I was off on the indications or not. It was indicated they stole my DNA back in 2016. Those were just the indications I got. I'm not like fantasizing that I'm royal or something. I never aspired to be, but if I do have some, DNA connection, I want, my life to be attributed to me, not to some piece of shit fraud. And so anyway, that's how it is. I was home all night in my red Prius on the yard. Jackasses were driving by honking their horns all night long, and I don't know who they are. I never had any connection to anyone other than my parents, Sherry and Lois, the last 5+ years, and they're just my parents. They're not theorists, inventors, bloggers, poets, anything that I am. They are not. They are very smart people. My mother's very smart. My father's very smart. They have their own personalities. My father's very good with fabric, making things and fixing mechanical things. And I have some of that in me too, but I'm not nearly as good as my father as at that, because it's not in my interest. Well, it's both. It's a combination of talent at it, natural talent at it, and interest in it. I'm not as naturally talented as him in it, and I'm not as interested in him in it. It's like most things, you know. But he would be better than me, even if I was interested in it, because he has a natural capacity for mechanical things. My mother is very intelligent in anything she would apply herself to, but we think differently. She's creative she's imaginative and creative in a slightly different way than I am. We're both good at like designing a layout of a house, for instance. My father isn't as talented and spatially. I'm more talented spatially as far as thinking about the universe and putting together, patterns of things geographically. That's my specific talent. I write poems because I've been writing poems since I was 20. My mother's she does all the books for the farm, for their farm. She always has. She's I'm not sure how she's always been, active in the community. She's more social. She has a better social ability than I do. Uh, Social ability adapted to her intelligence, where my intelligence is adapted to spatially and I don't know how to how to describe my poems, how to describe the intelligence related to my poems, plus the spatial aspect of my intelligence. That's where my intelligence is geared. Hers is kind of adapting the social aspect to all other forms of her intelligence. My father is mechanically intelligent. So we're all different in those aspects. Most families are that way. There's slightly different capabilities usually. Sometimes, a father and son have identical almost capabilities, but I think that's more rare than the family that has slightly different capabilities. But I don't know why I went into all that. I'm rambling now, obviously, but I didn't do anything wrong. I've never been into drugs, which was indicated again yesterday when I left home at 11:17 a.m. Never had sex with a male, never wanted to, never had any connection to anyone, Spanish-speaking person, since 2004 to 2006. And she primarily spoke English because she was born in the USA. Her parents were both Mexican, Ruby, and she's 38 now. She would be 38 now. I'm 52. She told me she was 6 years older when we met. So, if she was the age she said when we met, she would be 44 right now instead of 38. But that's what got me up. That's the only reason I ever got really upset with her, was I found out a year later she was 8. She is 19 at the time when I found out how old she was. She was always an adult when she was with me, but I was pretty upset when I found out she was only 19 and she had already had her baby, which is not my baby. She just was pregnant when we met and I didn't know it. So really rambling now. But I did not know any of the people at the Social Security office or anywhere I went yesterday. There's a system in my vehicle somebody put in in the last month that if I go somewhere, like if the guy goes somewhere they don't like me to go, like Lorenz, Iowa, and Waterloo, Cedar Falls, Iowa, there's a big triangle with an exclamation mark that comes on in my car now, and it gets way worse gas mileage. So both times I went to the Waterloo, Cedar Falls area, and when I went up to Northwest Iowa and I went to close to Lorenz, Iowa, which was where one Jennifer I dated was from Lorenz, Iowa. I believe she's a teacher since her 20s. So it would have been since I don't know, around the year 2000. She's been a teacher, I believe, in southern Iowa. She's originally from Lorenz, Iowa, so I don't know if that's why it's doing that when I got close to Lorenz, Iowa, but when I get close to Waterloo, Cedar Falls, Iowa, it does the same thing. The triangle with the exclamation mark comes on and it starts running really crappy, and I get about 7 to 8 miles per gallon less or more when it starts doing that. So somebody installed something in the computer system that wherever I go somewhere they don't want me to go, or something, whatever the reason is, that symbol with the triangle and the exclamation mark comes on and it starts running really crappy as far as gas mileage and such. Nothing else changes other than it starts using more fuel. So the gas mixture is being altered when that happens. Weird stuff's been going on with the digital stuff in my vehicle since I had the Nissan Murano. I bought that from John Deere Motors in 2021, spring 2021. I paid cash for that as well, $700. And when I went to buy it, a female was stalking me right next to me with the salesperson. It was a white female and a black salesman were right next to me, and I know they were staging lies that I had some connection to them. I did not. I did not know the prior owner of the vehicle. It was just a cheap vehicle that was advertised by John Deere Motors. They thought there's a problem with the transmission, and it was actually a problem with the exhaust system. And once the exhaust system, it was the catalytic converter, I believe, and once the catalytic converter cleared, there was no transmission issue. It was all kind of linked together. So it turned out that I got a good deal, but it wasn't without risk. I bought a vehicle thinking it may have, some transmission issues, and it ended up not having transmission issues. It was an exhaust issue, but I didn't tell them anything fraudulent. They had the car. It was a dealership, so I didn't, do anything wrong. I just offered them less because they said there was possibly a transmission issue. So, they said they wanted to get the money out of it that they had in it, and that's what I gave them. And they're a dealership, so they need to take responsibility for whatever they sell their car for. But I haven't had a car loan since 2018. So whatever that lie is, I haven't gotten one after the fact with anyone. And any Mexicans claiming any connection to my life whatsoever, claiming I stole anything from them, I do not know who they are, and they've been breaking into my home and getting on my property. That's how they're trying to claim I stole their stuff. They're getting on my property and taking, documenting my stuff and then claiming I stole it from them. I don't know what they're claiming this time, but everything that I have is mine. Any of the rocks that I got were from this property, which are this is my parents' property. And a couple of them I got off my parents' rock pile, which I told my mom about. So I don't know what they're claiming I stole, but that's what I'm just explaining, because I'm acquiring these rocks recently and trying to identify what they are. And so if anybody's trying to claim that they own anything of that is in my possession, no, it's all my stuff. It's not theirs. They were breaking and entering or trespassing on my property where I live. I do not know who they are. I do not know where they live. I have not been to their property. So they're the criminals. I do not, again, and I'm pretty sure the two Mexican guys and the Mexican female with the child, I believe I've seen them before. But they came in after me at Social Security office. So they are stalking me and harassing me. I told my mother at 1 p.m. yesterday I was going to the Social Security office. So anyone that was there that claims to have known me, especially the white woman in her 50s and the two Mexicans, the three Mexicans and the child, I don't know. I know the child doesn't claim to know me, but it looked like the three Mexicans were up to something again. So that's all I could say is what I see at the office or wherever I'm at. And I did use my Reedland Bank debit card several times, so the FBI can track the use of my debit card. That's the only debit card I use. So track the use of my debit card yesterday as any time that I go out, I'm using it somewhere usually. Signing off June 1st, 2024, Wade Heineman for youtube.com/@ IAMWADEHEINEMAN only. I do not ride a motorcycle. I've never been in the military. I've never been married, not been on a plane or jet since 2011, not left the USA since 2002, never been into drugs, not had any alcohol at all since August 6, 2022. Still not got together with any friends since 2016. None. Zero. I had no friends since 2016 because fraud staged lies and to destroy my life and isolate me for 7 years.